If 3ds Max is running, exit the application now. Before moving on with this exercise, you need to install Craft Director Studio. The application can be found on your 3ds Max installation DVD under Support, Partners. Once you have installed it, restart 3ds Max. The utility can now be accessed from the Utilities panel under More. Open the environment file you saved earlier. You can also use the file scenicroad.max that you downloaded for this exercise. Now that you have a full environment in 3ds Max, you are ready to drive a car on its roads. Chances are that your environment is centered to the origin of the world. Move it to the side a bit. It'll make it easier to see the car and the rig you're about to bring in. Use the Merge tool to merge the file sportscar.max. Make sure all car components are selected as you confirm the merge. The car is merged close to the origin of the world. Adjust your views to get a better look at the car. At this time, the car is made of 5 components, the body and 4 wheels. You could animate the car by placing it on a path, but controlling speed, wheel rotation, camber, suspension travel, and other aspects can be hard and time-consuming. Instead, you will link the car parts to a vehicle rig system. This system will act like a skeleton, much like bones or a biped skeleton would act on a character's body. From the Utilities panel, choose More, then select and load the Craft Director Studio utility. Start the utility. A dialog appears. The first time you start the utility, you are prompted to register it. Do so by providing your name, company, and email address. Make sure you are connected to the internet, as you need to download the proper licenses to use this promotional Autodesk version for free. To create a rig, click and hold the first icon in the dialog. You get a choice of vehicle rigs to choose from. As you can see, you get rig options for motorcycles, cars, planes, tanks, choppers, and trailers. In this example, choose the 4-wheeler X option. A car-shaped helper appears at the origin 000. Other gizmos appear, and the most important one is the red arrow pointing down. Select this red arrow. It defines gravity, but more importantly, you need to link it to the terrain you want your car to travel across. Next, you need to fit the skeleton to the mesh. Select the rig body and use Transform tools, Move, Rotate, and Scale to fit the skeleton to the car. Do not attempt to use non-uniform scale as the rig system doesn't support that. The wheels need a bit more work. Select the rig wheel and then use the Align tool to align it to the corresponding car wheel. Pivot to pivot in all 3 directions. Repeat this procedure to the remaining wheels. The 4 rig wheels can use a bit of scaling too. Select them and choose the Scale tool. Set the Transform mode to use the pivot point center and scale the rig wheels to match the car wheels. Link the car body to the rig body and each car wheel to its corresponding rig wheel. Finally, select the rig body and use Move and Rotate to place it slightly above the highway point seen in the top left corner in the top viewport. If you were to check your cameras in the scene, you'll notice 3 new cameras that the utility has provided. Choose the driver point of view camera and you'll find yourself in the driver's seat. To avoid seeing both the car mesh and the rig, you can hide the rig by clicking its green icon in the utility panel. Next, you define how you want to control the car. Select the four-wheeler X01 entry and click the controller icon. Here you can choose a profile or simply detect your own controller. In this movie, we are using a gamepad controller, but the principles remain the same for other controllers as well. For forward and backward motion, gas and brake, click on Detect and choose a control. If you click a button for forward motion, you'll be prompted to click another for backward motion, in this case buttons 5 and 4, index buttons respectively on the gamepad. For steering right and left, you can again use the Detect tool. If you are using a joystick or a wheel, make sure you turn right when you use Detect. Otherwise, the control will steer in the opposite direction. You can add other controls if you wish, such as a booster or turbo button for massive acceleration. For most purposes, the first two controls are enough. Close this dialog. Before you drive the car, make sure the four-wheeler X01 entry is selected again and go to the configuration panel. Here you can make a myriad other changes for detailed control over your rig, or simply choose a preset. In this case, we'll keep it simple by choosing the sports car preset. This will adjust speed, acceleration, suspension travel, and a million other little things that will make the rig simulate a sports car's behavior. Close the dialog. You are now ready to have fun. Click the record button. There will be a countdown of a few seconds, after which, start driving the car. Notice the front wheels spinning and turning properly and all the suspension work. Once you get to the off-ramp, take it to get on the mountain road. Don't forget to brake every once in a while. You certainly would need to do that for those nasty hairpins. If you mess things up, stop the recording, go back to frame 0 and try again. It is important to note that the animation is obviously based on motion capture and therefore creates a large amount of keyframes. In fact, if you unhide the body rig and select it, you see this effect on the timeline. You practically have a keyframe for every frame of the animation. Notice that if you go to the curve editor, you don't even see the animation curves for this object. This is because the utility is using a special type of motion capture controller. If you need to convert that to controllers you want to manipulate, then you can do so in Craft Director Studio's dialog. This movie barely scratches the surface of what you can achieve with this tool. You can achieve quite a bit more with the addition of accessories, things like crawler tracks, missiles, extra wheels. If you have other models, helicopters, motorcycles, merge them into the scene and apply the tools you have learned. Set up other camera points and render the animation. A sample animation has been provided for your convenience. This concludes this 4-part movie project on creating environments. We hope you have enjoyed it.